News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and now 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
A former ambassador to the Middle East provides his perspective on the Paris terrorist attacks. Good morning, everyone. It's Montana Morning. It's Monday, November 16th, 2015. Skies cloudy. It's 33 degrees. Roads around the area mostly bare and dry this morning. Our newscast sponsored by the Mustard Seed Asian Cafe at Southgate Mall. One man with over 30 years of experience serving the United States as an ambassador and a State Department employee in the Middle East is Mark Johnson, founder of the Montana World Affairs Council. Johnson told me Friday night he was stunned by the bloody, violent attacks that left nearly 130 dead and hundreds injured in the City of Lights.
What makes it even more dangerous and deadly, it happened in Paris. France has a very good counterintelligence, counterterrorism system, and so for these guys to come in and do this, I find it very, very troubling.
Johnson said this attack may well change the way the mass migration of refugees coming out of the Middle East is being seen by Europeans.
The French security service can't keep tabs on all of them, and a lot of these people have come back and are motivated, animated by the ISIS ideology and have chosen France to carry out their deadly attacks.
Johnson also sees the attacks as a goad by ISIS and other radical Islamic militants to draw Western nations into an all-out war.
It's the management of savagery. They want to create as much damage, destruction, and death as possible. It's their game plan, if you will. And we saw that with bin Laden and 9/11 to create a major theatrical event, a statement.
Dr. Mirdad Keel will be our guest in the 9 o'clock hour on Talkback to talk further about the events in Paris. A 48-year-old Texas man suspected in a triple shooting that left one man dead made his initial appearance Friday in Justice Court in Butte. The Montana Standard reports Tony Sawyer of Lubbock was charged with deliberate homicide and 2 counts of attempted deliberate homicide. For a November 3rd shooting in southwestern Montana, he did not enter a plea. Joe Powers of Whitehall was killed about 13 miles southeast of Butte. 2 other men, ages 23 and 38, also suffered gunshot wounds. A motive for the shooting has not yet been released. On Thursday of last week, Zachary Newberry appeared in sentencing hearing in Missoula District Court. Deputy Missoula County Attorney Jennifer Clark details the charges.
On September 27th of 2014, Zachary Newberry was charged with aggravated assault and sexual intercourse without consent, arising out of an incident where he strangled his victim, kicked her, punched her, caused some serious injuries to her, and then also had sex without her consent.
Clark said Judge John Larson rejected the 21-year-old man's negotiated plea agreement.
Over the past 3 years since I took office, I've made it a priority to raise awareness.
The judge indicated after hearing testimony that he was going to impose a parole restriction on his sentence and allowed the defendant some time to consider whether or not he's going to withdraw his plea.
Newberry has until November 25th to accept the judge's sentence or go to trial. If Newberry refuses the plea agreement and goes to trial, he could face up to 100 years in prison and a possible fine of $100,000. A Whitefish man wants to withdraw his plea in an arson case after a judge said he would not accept the plea agreement there. The Flathead Beacon reports James Wallace Langley pleaded no contest in January to arson for an October 2013 fire at the home of his former girlfriend at Whitefish. The plea agreement called for a 6-year deferred sentence. District Judge Robert Allison said he would not follow the plea agreement and would not allow Langley to withdraw his plea before sentencing him to 10 years with the Department of Corrections. Langley's attorney filed an appeal on November 11th, arguing the state sentencing laws provided defendant with an opportunity to withdraw a plea if the judge rejects the plea agreement. A national nonprofit has ranked Montana as one of the top 3 states in the country for its efforts to prevent child sex trafficking. Shared Hope International recently released its annual state report cards and upgraded Montana to an A over last year's D. Spokeswoman Christine Reyno cited Montana's successful commitment to advancing legislation this past spring to ensure that children are not for sale within its borders.
Montana really addressed that framework. They addressed almost all of the areas of that framework, and so because of that comprehensive approach to addressing the gaps in their laws, they had a really big impact on their ability to address the problem.
Montana Attorney General Tim Fox said he's worked hard to raise awareness about the problem of child sex trafficking.
Over the past 3 years since I took office, I've made it a priority to raise awareness about human trafficking, in particular sex trafficking of minors. And I quickly understood that we needed some changes in our laws to make sure we're dealing with these things appropriately.
Fox thanks Sir Optimists International of Helena and Whitefish, Watkins Shepherd Trucking, the Montana Motor Carriers Association, and the Town Pump Foundation for their assistance in reaching to the public on human trafficking awareness. A man convicted of taking more than $26,000 in cash and merchandise from a Rodan feed store where he worked is appealing a judge's order that he pay restitution. John Dovey argues that the store's losses were mostly covered by insurance. In July, District Judge Kim Christopher gave the 41-year-old Dovey a 6-year deferred sentence and ordered him to pay Westland Seed. After several years of planning and researching, Missoula County launched its new website Friday afternoon. Communications Director Ann Hughes said it was a huge collaborative effort.
We really looked at this new site as a way to just recalibrate and focus our efforts on organizing information for the public to come and kind of figure out what they're looking for. Folks don't always know exactly what department does what, so we tried to organize the information in a way that will help people get to where they need to be.
Hughes said she and her staff will welcome feedback and suggestions from the public on the new website. Find the link on our website, in fact, at our Newstalk, KGVO.com. President Obama's climate change plan to cut carbon dioxide emissions puts pressure on the one Democratic governor in a coal-producing state seeking re-election next year. That's Montana Steve Bullock. The Obama plan puts a big target on Bullock's back as he tries to avoid the fate of other Democrats tossed on the slag heap in the nation's coal belt. Most recently, the emissions cuts were an issue in this month's Kentucky gubernatorial election. Democratic Attorney General Jack Conway lost to Republican Matt Bevin, despite Conway joining a 27-state lawsuit seeking to block the Obama rule. Bullock says the plan is unfair because it imposes bigger cuts on Montana than any other state, but he says the state must comply. Our News Talk time now is 6:12.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Partly to mostly cloudy skies today with our highs in the upper 30s. Winds will be breezy with wind gusts as high as 20 miles per hour. A chance of snow showers tonight with a trace to an inch by sunrise. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for KECI 13.